Hi everybody, Dizzy Crafter here with another sublimation video. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you would have known that I'd actually purchased some tumblers from Shein and they didn't turn out too great. This was like the results. You'd have seen this in several of my videos now because I keep showing you what results I was getting with theirs. I purchased some tumblers from TEMU, and whilst I was waiting for that one to come, I did end up finding some tumblers in the UK which came sooner, which have been fantastic. But when I did do the TEMU haul, once the stuff came, I did say I would do a tutorial. Well, not so much a tutorial, but more of a comparison really, how the TEMU tumblers compare to the Shein tumblers, and I'm really hoping yet again I haven't wasted my money and then it comes out like this. And I just thought perfect opportunity to show you, because my friend really liked the design and has asked me if I could do the design for her. So at least this way, hopefully, if it works on the TEMU tumbler, then we could be able to see what it should look like compared to what results I got with Shein. So it's Shein versus TEMU really. So the first thing we need to do is obviously get your design, print it, which I've done all that, and then I just need to trim this and attach it to my tumbler. So I'm just going to trim all the edges off as neat and as close to the edges as I possibly can, and I'll just speed through this bit. So we've got the design all cut up, so we need to grab the tumbler now. You can see here I've got some marks going on, and I'm going to go over with some alcohol just to be on the safe side, because we don't want that, and hopefully it will remove, which it has done. But because I've used the alcohol, you are going to have to wait for this to dry. It doesn't take that long, a few seconds really. But I just like to give it a good 30 seconds. Now I wouldn't normally use the alcohol personally unless there is marks like that on there. And just while we wait for that to dry, I just want to say like everything's the same. So I've used the same design, the same paper, the same printer, everything that I have used is the exact same. I'm going to be using the same machine, everything. The only thing that is different, so we get a fair comparison, is the actual tumbler. So now that should be near enough, it should be right, because you just don't want no alcohol on there or anything, because it will disturb the picture. So what I like to do is I like to turn my tumbler upside down and like touch it at the most minimal as I can. Get my teeth back in, and then obviously it's upside down, so I have to make sure my print is upside down, and this way I can get a real good hold of it. And I just like to take my hand around and really give that a good squeeze so it's nice and tight. And I also want to make sure it meets, whereas you can see here, if I just tape that down, it wouldn't meet here, and hopefully you can see. So I need to make sure that that is right, and it's not. So it does take some getting used to, and also if you've not cut it right, which I've done before now, it can leave it to not meet. But I'd rather have the discrepancies at the bottom of the tumbler rather than the top. So with this design I could actually manoeuvre it just that few millimetres so it does match at the bottom, because it's just going to be ever so slightly coming off at the top. And once I've got that where I want it, I'm going to bring in my tape dispenser, which this is also the tape dispenser that I bought from TEMU. I just take this up and then I'll come back to the tape dispenser and I'll explain something to you. So I'm just going to fast forward this, because all I'm going to do is place it down on one side, and then I'm going to pull it tight so that it's getting a nice tight bond. But you don't really need to see me like taping all this up, because it can take a bit of time and it is worth taking that bit of extra time to do it, because you'll get better results with it really. So, and I just like to do that, or you can even have one of these little devices, which I do tend to use sometimes, but also sometimes forget that I've got it, and then this can actually help you. It just sometimes catches the paper, I find. See, I feel like it sometimes can cause an air bubble, and you see that, so I just like, if I use it, I tend to just use it like this, so it's a stand, and then I gradually go up the spine, which then eradicates less chance of having any air pockets, and that's what can cause some of the ghosting. So that's how I basically do it. So like I say, I'm just going to whiz through this bit, and then I'll be back with you in a second. So now we've got that tape down, I like to take a bone folder or something that's going to like be able to burnish it, and I like to burnish this down as much as I can. And I just keep doing that. Get the tape nice and stuck down so it doesn't lift off. And I like this particular bone folder because I can actually just go up and down either one of them, because it's got that slight curve to it, so I can do it much faster in that way, but I still like to go down all of it with the flat edge as well, both sections. So you go up and down and side to side, and then this is probably overkill. But I also like to take a little orange wood stick, which you can get anywhere really, the pennies to buy, Amazon, wherever, and where that seam is, I like to just run it down there, and then that means it's very, very tight in there. And now, I don't suppose it would matter that much particular with this design because it's such a pale design, but that's just on the one I've got, so maybe it might not be so pale when it's done, so it could show up. And I'm not gonna lie, I've still had mugs and tumblers that's not come out right, so I've run through that a few times, but sometimes it is trial and error, and I am still learning, but I'm just showing you this is the way I do it. And obviously this main objective of this video is to get that comparison between TEMU and Shein, and hopefully TEMU are better than Shein, because I'm sure there is definitely some rivalry going on there, because they're very, very similar. So all I've done there is take some tape and go around the bottom of the paper, and I'm just going to again burnish this on, and again this little bone folder really comes in handy because it has got that little bend going on. Now unfortunately these tumblers are slightly taller than the Shein ones, so there is always going to be a gap here, and it's the same on my tumbler cup ones, so I feel like these are like more or less the same size. I much did prefer this size because it did mean you could get it right down to that very bottom and to the top, but unfortunately this just didn't sublimate very well. So we'll have to do that now, and then we have to do the same thing on the top. But you don't have to, this is just the way I do it, and I don't seem to have too many problems. I seem to have more problems with, say, the darker ones, the darker colours, with slight ghosting and stuff, but it has actually been very minimal, to be fair. So I'm quite, considering I'm still a newbie, I've only been doing this less than 2 months, so I don't think I'm doing too bad. So then I just like to give that a burnish there, and again just around the top there. So what we need to do now is take some copier paper or butcher's paper. To be honest, I just use the copier paper, And then obviously I can't use this copy of paper again to redo it, because this just grabs hold of the bleed. But when I'm trialling something out for the sublimation, because like I say, I am a newbie, I keep these papers and I use them to go through the printer as a draft of what design I'm doing, and I can see if I've got the right size correct and stuff like that. So don't chuck them away. And if you are, like say, a stamper as well, you could keep the pile of them and use them as a cushion for when you're stamping. So there's always uses for them, so would never chuck them away. And all I've got to do is tape that on like so, and then I like to pull it as tight as I can, make sure there's no air bubbles in it. I'm using my hand to squeeze any air out, and I just tape the middle and the bottom and the top. And that's all I actually do for the copy of paper. Now this is ready to go in the tumbler press. But before we go to the tumbler press, I did say I would speak about the tape dispenser. So this pink one is the one I bought from a company in the UK, and it's fantastic. It cuts this tape very, very well. Originally I put this tape that I got from TEMU as well on here, because I thought, well, that looks nice, it matches and everything, and I would keep this one because it's a warmer colour with the pink. It looked a bit better, but it wouldn't cut this tape. So I'm like, oh gosh, this tape dispenser's a load of rubbish, even though it looks exactly the same, from the same manufacturer, everything. So I thought, well, before I ditch it off and send it back, I'll put this tape on and see what this is like. Well, I'll show you. Watch it work now. But yeah, so it goes around. It doesn't cut. Sometimes it cuts, sometimes it doesn't. So like, there you go, that's cut. That's cut. And then you end up with even longer pieces. So it's just, this tape is just too thick for this to cut, so it's not any good. Obviously you can still use it. I did try to return the tape, because not only does it not cut on here, when you're using it, so like if I was to use it on this tumbler, before I'd even put the second or third piece up, it was just peeling up, so it was no good for that. So when I went to return it, they said they'd refund me, but I could keep the tape. So I thought, well, maybe I'd use it for some flat projects when I'm using the heat press, which it hasn't been too bad for that. But personally for me, I would not buy this tape. Now the tape dispenser is exactly the same as this one. I paid £17 for this one, and it ended up being £6 something for this one. So a huge difference. And they are the exact same, to be honest. In fact, this one here, I can cut the tape on this one, but for some reason this side on the pink one, it's just a 1 minute of work. Like, watch it work now. And even when it was this thinner tape, it wouldn't work. So it's hard work to get to it. And I know I've got long nails, and that could be part of it. So there's like another like mini review of some more TEMU products. Tape, definitely no. Tape dispenser, 100% yes. If you want to get one of these, to me it's the cheapest place on earth. And just keep an eye out, because when I first purchased this, I think it was something like £14 or £10 or something like that. It was more than what I got, but then did this price reduction thing they did. But since then I've seen it several times for £6 something, but I've also seen it at £10 and £14. So just keep an eye out. If you are wanting one, just keep searching and hopefully it'll come up. Anyway, enough of that. The whole point of this is to do that comparison. So we'll go back to the press machine, and then we'll see how we get on with that. So I've just turned the machine on, and I'm waiting for it to heat up. I have it at 380 Fahrenheit, and I put on for 60 seconds. And once this R here stops bleeping red and it turns green, that means the machine is ready. I also have a little silicone mat here that I like to put the tumblers on once they come out the press, just to protect any of my surfaces and give it that time to cool down. Luckily the tumblers don't actually take that long to cool down, unlike the mugs do take a lot longer, because obviously they're ceramic and it's more odds that insulates it more than the metal does. So now that's done, we're up to temperature. I'm going to place my tumbler inside and I'm going to take note of where I've put my tape here, and I like to put it facing me, and I like to have the tumbler as central as I can, so I've got a gap either side the same way, and then we just press the R, which then will close it up and then count down the 60 seconds. Whilst that's counting down, it's important that you wear some heat protection gloves, because it will be very, very hot. So I like to put my gloves on ready so that I can handle it as soon as it opens back up again. So it opens automatically, and I just like to take the tumbler and turn it around so that that tape is facing behind me now, and then we press start again, and then it's the same process. Again, that will automatically open. So the next thing I like to do is do the edges. So I just keep hold of the tumbler and I close it and let it grab hold of that, and I'm just going to wait until it's counted down 20 seconds. Of course I could change the time and stuff, so if I forgot that it would open, but I'm stood here watching it, because if I did forget and it opened, this would just fall out because it's going to be top heavy, so to speak. So I do this 20 to 30 seconds. I don't know why I change it, it's just if I'm busy. So right now I'm not, so I'm going to take that out, so it's at 20, and then we're going to turn it over and do the same on the other end. I'm surmising it wouldn't matter so much on this particular one because of how pale it is, but on the darker ones I feel like this is definitely a must, and this is my routine and I don't fancy changing it now. I seem to have found my mojo with it, and it seems to have worked with the tumblers that I got from Tumblers Cups. So hopefully it's going to work for the one, oh sorry, not my camera, it's going to work from the ones as well, from the TEMU ones. So with that, we'll let it cool down and we'll be back on the other camera in a sec. Well, it's all cooled down now, so we just need to take all the wrappings off and got our fingers crossed that everything works okay. So, and that way you guys that are not in the UK and can't get from Tumbler Cups can get from TEMU, because obviously I know they ship worldwide as far as I'm aware anyway. So it's a good sign we can see the giraffe, so fingers crossed on that one. And I'll just speed through this removing tape because it can take some time with the amount of tape I put on. But I would rather have too much tape than not enough. So now this is the moment of truth. We've got all the tape off. Let's get rid of that. And let's see if it's sublimated. Well, I can see straight away it has. So that is like night and day. I'm just zoom out ever so slightly. It's definitely night and day. Like you can see all the detail in this one. It's just so much more vibrant. Let's see if I've got any ghosting. A tiny little bit here and here. So there is some, and you can tell obviously, even with the paler colours I guess. I mean, it's not as pale as I thought it was going to be honest. The seam, it's not too bad. Maybe I should have put a tape on the joining seam so we wouldn't have got this dark line, but I'd rather that than a white line anyway. So yes, there is a little bit of ghosting, nothing on the bottom though, nothing whatsoever. So I mean, I could, because obviously these cups have got this white edging, I could slightly bring it down, but I don't like the fact that it's got a white edging at the top and the bottom, and I'd much rather have that white edge at the bottom rather than the top. So that's a success, guys, for the TEMU. So TEMU definitely outwins Shein for certain. So if you would like another video similar to this, I mean, up to now, these ones are from Shein are the only things I've had trouble sublimating up to now. Touch wood, even though it's not wood, it's lino, but yeah, so I'd like to say a huge thank you for watching if you've come this far in the video, and I hope this has helped you make a purchase or anything, and hopefully I shall see you in the next video. Bye!